Hey firecrackers, it's Naomi and welcome to the firecracker department. Well, how you doing? How you holding up in the world? It is a wild time. I just keep saying it's wild. I don't know how to make sense of a lot of what's going on right now, but I'll tell you what makes sense to me. That's coming together. The firecracker department has always been about bringing people together and supporting them to take creative action. And now more than ever, that's our job. So that makes sense to me. So I've been in quarantine for 2 weeks. It's 14 days today, actually. Happy anniversary, Naomi. I thank you. Where's my cake? You can't go out for cake. It's not an essential service. So I am celebrating by spending it with you. And I honestly, all the little groups, we've started a movie group. We've started a monologue group. We've got some upcoming hangouts planned, a brunch on Sundays. There's lots of things going on if you want to hang out with some amazing firecrackers and, just come together and support each other. So thank you for being here right now. And as I say, there's always a seat for everybody at the firecracker table. Just reach out to us and we'll make room for you and give you something to feel creative and to make you feel like you belong somewhere. Because who knows, you might be living alone and that might be really tough. So come and join our brunch. And you might be living in a house full of people and it's really crowded, and put your earphones on and come and join us. We're here for you, okay? We got you. Just reach out. Now, my guest today is just a phenomenal person. It's Renuka Jeyapalan. Now, she's a director from Canada, and she's directed episodes of Kim's Convenience, Workin Moms, Murdoch Mysteries, the web series The 410. And she's just gonna go so far as a director because she has such an incredible heart and she's funny. And that's a combo that is so dear to my heart. We hung out during TIFF. So it's a while ago, before the world changed. And I found a little space at Second City, Toronto in the training center. But we grabbed a little space. I mean, if you've ever gone to TIFF in Toronto in September, it's nuts. Like the streets are packed. Every building is packed. You go to one of the hotels and every corner people are having meetings and they're on their phone. It's really exciting, but it's pretty chaotic. So I was thrilled to get her just for this time alone and just to find out a little bit about her too, because I've always been such a fan. Renuka and I met originally at the Share Her Journey rally. Even that was a couple years ago. And I don't know if you know about Share Her Journey. It's this amazing 5-year initiative of increasing participation skills and opportunities for women behind and in front of the camera. And they had a rally, and it was one of those times that you just look around and everybody's sort of welling up with tears, knowing that we've come a distance, but we've got a distance to go too, and we got to dig in and go to work. It's a very empowering movement, and I loved meeting Renuka there as well. We had such a beautiful talk. We talked about movies. We talked about our mothers, both who have dementia, and it got a little bit emotional, and I'm okay with that. Originally I was like, should I edit the part that I get emotional in? And I was like, no, because it's my mom. Of course I'm going to get emotional. She's my mom, right? Anyway, we just had such an honest and open discussion, and I really enjoyed it. So I feel really lucky to have had this time with her. I can't wait to share Renuka with you as well. So let's get started. Here's my chat with Renuka Jeyapalan. Thrilled to sit down with you because actually you've been under the umbrella of firecracker department for a while, because I've sort of seen a bunch of things that you've been working on.
Okay, cool.
And then I was doing a little research on you, and this is the part that I'm always curious about because it's rare that you just launch into the career that you have right now.
Yeah.
And having started in biochemistry, I feel like that, because my father's a chemistry professor.
Oh, really?
So he's over at Queen's.
Okay.
I know it's not the same thing, other than the fact that the word chemistry is in it. But tell me a little bit about that journey for you.
Well, I always thought I was going to be a doctor, since I was a kid. And
like your speeches, were they all like the ear?
I'm going to be a pediatrician when I grow up.
And is that just because like your that was your family?
Yeah, South Asian immigrant parents. There's a lot of doctors in my family, and immigrant parents want their kids to not have a hard life. They don't want them to. They don't have to worry about them, and so it's sort of always a traditional kind of professional careers. They sort of encourage
stable.
Them. Stable with a clear path. Mm-hmm. Total opposite from directing and filmmaking.
Anything in the arts.
Anything in the arts. So I was always, and I thought like I do want to be a doctor, and because it's a noble profession.
Sure, nothing wrong with being a doctor. Yeah, nobody's gonna find out. Oh, she's a doctor.
Yeah.
How scandalous.
Yeah. So I high school science, that direction, and then university, specialized in biochemistry. But I always loved movies, like always since I was a kid. I'd see movies with my dad. I grew up in Toronto and Ontario, TBO, LBO, Saturday at the movies.
LBOs? I remember LBOs.
Yeah, my dad, when I was a kid, watched all the Hitchcock movies that way. And so always,
like the classics.
The classics, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then E.T. was a big, important movie in my childhood. And so I always loved movies and had a memory for movies. Like I just remembered scenes. And
do you remember the quality of it that made you lean in? Like for me, it was always comedy. I remember the comedic movies that my family watched. For you,
I mean, what was it? This is before I was decided, when I was.
Yeah, were you just attracted to it?
When I was a kid, I remember we moved from Scarborough to Thornhill.
Yeah. And
I knew no one, new school, new friends. I had nobody. And my parents took me to see E.T. It was playing in the theater then. And I really related to Elliot because he was going through his parents' divorce and needed a friend. And just that feeling of someone on screen is feeling something and I'm feeling it too. And I felt connected. Yeah. And so I think that resonated with me. And that really has been a theme in my work, I would say. We can go to that later, but
no, it's one of my thoughts for you though.
Yeah.
What is a recurring theme?
Yeah, just like I want my work. I always want the audience to feel something.
Yeah.
And to feel something authentic and real, whether it's a laugh or a good cry, or just something that will resonate with them. And I always kind of gravitate towards that kind of material. Mm-hmm. But in terms of filmmaking, not a real profession. It's like it's a hobby. It's a hobby. Yeah. It's like go to the movies. Everyone does it. But in university, I had a chance in second year to take an elective course, and I took a course called. I went to U of T, and it was the film studies course. It's called Contemporary Popular American Film. Okay. Which I'm sure is a fluff course.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like made up. Yeah. Right? I feel like the professors all sit around.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a title. I got one for you.
Yeah. And it was just totally probably a fluff course for all the hardcore cineas.
Right.
And we watched, American films from 1970 onwards. And Thelma and Louise, Alien, whatever, Seven, all kinds of other films. Can't even remember now. But the one we watched, The Godfather, was the second film we watched, which I had seen with my dad on TV. We watched The Godfather, and there was a scene near the beginning where Michael, played by Al Pacino, has brought Kay, Diane Keaton's character, to his sister's wedding, and they're at a little table, and he's talking about his family, and he's trying to explain to her what his family does. That they're his father makes people an offer that they can't refuse. Right. Kind of stuff, yes. Right? And they're talking, and they're sitting across from each other at this little tiny table, and in between them is a character named Luca Brasi, who's the Don's henchman. Yeah. And Luca Brasi is practicing his speech to thank the Don for inviting him to his sister's wedding. And the professor was like, "Hey, look at this scene, blocking." So the scene, Luca Brasi is positioned right in the center between these two. Michael and Kay, which means these two will never be together because the mafia will always be. And it just I could see the Matrix, I could see what filmmaking, how you could do it. And I love that. And I thought I can do that. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of made me think about, maybe I'll go make a short film at the film club at Hart House at UT. And I did that. I put my friend in it. And, it was called Sunday Afternoon. And she has a dream that she's like Audrey Hepburn. And
because you love classic movies. I saw in your Facebook world, there's a lot of classical.
I like classic or just timeless things. Yeah. And but I graduated. I finished biochemistry, but I did minor in cinema studies and English. And then after I graduated, I was like, I think I have to be a filmmaker.
Yeah. What was that discussion like at home?
Yeah, it was my parents. My mom always, I think it took her a long time to understand because it was always doctor. Yeah. She struggled. She put me through private school. It was always education top. And so it took her a long time. My dad was kind of you want to be an actor? You want to be a producer? No, it's a director.
Yeah.
Is it hard? What does a director do? So, but my dad was more confused about what it was, but open to it. So, I'd come home sometimes and I'd have find an article from the newspaper cut out on my desk. Yes. It was a studio was opening in Toronto.
My father does the same thing. I get in the olden days I got envelopes stuffed with articles, and now I just get The Economist forwarded or Harper's or whatever.
Yeah. So
but he grew up he brought the love of movies to your life. You would think that he would understand that.
Yeah, but I think it's such a my dad was a chartered accountant who worked for Canada Revenue Agency. My mom worked for CAMH in the accounting department. They were civil servants. Lives. Totally creative was a very no one in my family, any cousins, any relatives were in that kind of arts or creative world. So it was very foreign, and also they just it was that's a hard life.
They worry about you.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. If I had a kid that was going into the arts, I'd be I'm worried about you. But they must know that you had the passion and drive that you showed in biochemistry to pursue this.
But I think it's still, being a doctor.
I know, jury's not out, right?
Yeah. It's there is a path. You can work hard and you can get on a path and there will be something at the end of it. But with as filmmaking, acting, any arts, music, you don't know.
No.
You don't know it's going to work. You just have to go and do it and keep doing it.
Yeah, that's what we say. My husband and I are both actors, and we both say there are 3 rules. You can't give up. You just have to keep going. You can't get bitter because nobody wants to work with bitter people. And you can't hold hands on garbage day because it's really awkward because the garbage cans. So it's just 3 rules to live by. It helps us. So then I find it interesting because also you need the support, the cheerleaders around you. And if your parents are sitting around going, I'm nervous for you, it must have made you also nervous for your trajectory.
It's interesting because I have really great friends who are always supportive and
in the doctor world.
No, from high school, from when I was 11, 12, we're still friends, and they were always, I would rope them into being into my movies.
Yes.
They were always game. One of my best friends, she did all the makeup, and one did all the catering. So I had really great friends. But I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. I'm what am I doing? Is this?
It would be a lie if you told me it was easy. I would be come on.
It was really
hard.
What
was it for you? Because I feel there's times, and I feel it happens more than once. But when you're on that fork in the road, when you're no, I gotta go back to the world of medicine as opposed to arts. Yeah. Do you remember those moments?
Well, I was also very practical too because I graduated from UT. I then went to night school at Ryerson just to learn how to use a camera. Is this actually what I want to do?
Right.
I made some shorts and stuff. But during the day I worked at CAMH. Right. In pharmacology studies.
Right.
Right. Just to get it, have some money and and then at night I would use that money to make my movies.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and then where was this going? And I had heard about this place called Canadian Film Center, which I heard about, and would drive past it, but never knew actually what happened behind those gates.
Behind those beautiful gates.
Yeah, what's going on?
Peering
there?
over the secret garden.
But you hear, if you know anything about, if you're in Canada and you want interested in film and you're a student, that's some place that you've heard of. And so honestly, I applied on a whim. I applied the week before the deadline.
People work for months on there.
Yeah, I applied on a whim. I used these little shorts that I made at Ryerson. I had never worked in the industry. They were just my shorts, and they let me in, and it changed my life. That really did change my life, because from then on it was I'm definitely just doing this.
Because you needed somebody to be I believe in you.
Yeah.
That system said we think you have something valuable, and I know it's all self-value. I think it's such an interesting time, speaking to you during TIFF too, as you must find, where I find the dichotomy of inward and outward is so messed up in my head. Don't you find that? We work so hard at our craft and our heart.
And then you got to be all public about it.
Put lipstick on, and it's so against I don't know. Yeah. How do you make sense of that?
I definitely put want my work to speak for me. And I don't do stuff like this very often. I don't really talk about myself or the issues. I really like to put like the work speak for itself.
Right. When you say issues, do you mean like the global issues, or do you mean like your personal issues?
I guess like global, like, like female director issues, and which, all that stuff. And I almost think the act of I'm a woman, yes, I'm a woman of color, I'm making movies, that is my political act. Yeah. And my movies will have my perspective and voice and statement, whatever in it. Proofs in the pudding. Yeah. And I think I just, actors, it's like if they're so public, a viewer can't always see them as their character because their persona kind of forefronts that. Yeah. And not that no one knows who directors are usually, but like I don't. It's odd, but I know. Yeah. I really think it's like I almost want to be anonymous in a way, and like because my work is personal. I'm already putting a lot out there, so I don't need to add to it with so explicitly. Maybe. Yeah. Like, do you feel like you need to put yourself out there more so, just with like the pressures of social media these days? Like, no. The opposite. You're like, screw you, social media. I'm very private. Like, I have rules for like my Facebook or Instagram. Like, for my Facebook, I don't befriend you if I haven't met you or talked to you. Yeah, that's smart. I've actually been going through, because for a while I was like, oh, if we have somebody in common, okay. Yeah. And now I've kind of gone through, like, I don't know. Like, people are like, I just had a baby. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. Yeah. That's one rule. The second rule is I never like anything. Ever. Because once you like something, you have to start liking everything, and then you feel like, oh, is this like worthy? Is this not? I've never liked anything on Facebook. That's good to know. Yeah. It's like, I'd be like, hey, she hasn't liked anything I posted. I take it all very personally. And then I rarely comment, but when I do, it's like, oh my God, Renuka commented. Mm-hmm. It's important. It's something. It's of note. And then I used to not actually put anything really personal, or I used to not even put things about my own film work. I would just post about like, Hollywood Reporter, this article, this news coming out, this trailer. But I've started to like post about my own work a little bit more, but not too much, because I don't want to be one of those people. But what? Okay, so I want to talk about that, because one of those people, we talk a lot about that with our like self-promotion. Yeah. So I'm also not a huge fan of the like obligatory trailer shot or whatever it is. Like, I'm like, ugh, but I do think that there's a way of self-promoting and being proud of what you've created, because you work effing hard for it. Yeah. But without doing it your way. Do you know what I mean? Like, so how is your way of doing it? Because I think it's important. Otherwise, that's the power we have in social media. We don't have power lot in this industry. Yeah. I mean, I will post if I have a film at TIFF, I will post that. Right. Or a film is screening for people to see, I will post something that they can do. If they want to see it, they can go and see it. Right. Versus just the sake of, hey, look at me, I'm doing something. But if it's for, it's accessible to someone to see, or that, I guess. I haven't really actually analyzed it. I know, it's a constant challenge for me, because I also value the projects I'm involved with. Yeah. So I go, my job is to support that too. Yeah. So if you and I are working together, I'm gonna be like, oh, I worked with this really cool lady. Yeah. So I think there's a way to do it that's your own. I think that's the thing you have to kind of distill, so that you're not doing like, like posy shots, but like, this is what I gained from this experience. That's true. Because I think we're all messengers. Like, I do, and I don't know how you feel about that role. I know you said about being somebody that's like in the global, what was the word you used? Issue oriented. But like, do you feel like your job is to be a messenger of this path? I mean, I really want to I direct, I make films, direct television, so an audience can feel something. Right. And can feel connected. And I don't do projects where I don't feel connected to it. That's including television. Like, have you ever? I have, and there've been not great experiences. It's just like, why am I this time away from, things that are maybe more important to me, and I put a lot of myself into my work, and it's not so rewarding creatively and personally, and so I'm more picky.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there's something I can bring to a project, I mean, I've been doing television past few years. It's just a recent thing, which is a very different medium than directing, than film directing. Not better or worse, just different. And but even that, I'm picky as to what I want to work on.
Yeah. How do you navigate that? How do you navigate your way into somebody else's project? Because I know you directed like Murdoch or Workin Moms, which you didn't write, but you have to like own it in the same way as if you did.
Yes, which is like that's what the tricky part of television directing is. Yeah. I mean, Murdoch was the showrunner, Pete Mitchell, like huge, like gave me a huge break. Yeah. You know, he did not need to give me an episode. I was shadowing. Right. You know, and a couple weeks into the shadowing, he was like, "Hey, you want to do one?" And which was
what's his name again?
Peter Mitchell.
That's
so
like
he's the showrunner of
recognize those cheerleaders because those are the people that like I'm going to give you a chance. Yeah, like a lot of us have all shadowed, and rarely does that turn into
that. Yeah, and that was, and the funny part is like getting into television. I never wanted to direct TV, ever.
You just want to do your own films.
I never thought someone would give me an opportunity to direct. I always thought I would just create my own stuff. I just didn't. I was going to create my own thing.
But you never thought somebody would do that for you? You never thought you wanted it?
I never considered it. I don't even know the distinction if I even thought if there was a distinction, but I just thought I was just going to create my own stuff, like a notorious filmmaker. And I got I had an agent, and my agent was always like, Renuka, just consider TV. Just like, you may want to move out of your mom's house. Right. And, you know, like I want you to actually have like, you know, live. So, because I was making zero money. But
that's what the agents are supposed to do. That's a good agent. They're saying like, hey, I think you should not live at your mom's house.
Yeah. Forever. Because then, you know, you do one thing and then you can then work for the rest of the year on your own project. Yeah. So you know, it's okay, let me explore television. I did all these courses, you know, Bell and CBC, and I got a development deal for my own show at CBC, which was amazing. And then I realized when I was developing it, like I would never be able to direct my own pilot because I have no TV directing experience. Right. They would not let me direct. I've done 3 shorts. Why would they? And so I was like, I better look into this TV directing. And that's when I shadowed for Murdoch, and I got this on my first shot, this first break. And that just opened some doors for me. I got my first TV credit without having done a feature either. Usually you do a feature at least, and then you get, you know, explore TV. So I'd only done 3 shorts. Wow. And they were all shorts that I had written. Like it wasn't someone else's work that I was interpreting.
Just going back to that navigation thing. So how do you get your heart into somebody else's work?
I think it's, you know, it's what in that work do you connect to? Mm-hmm. So like an example, Murdoch Mysteries. I gotta admit, I didn't really watch it before I was on it, but I love period. Okay. I loved Merchant Ivory films when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. Loved Jane Austen. Like I love period.
So you're not far from it.
Not far from it. You know, so I always wanted to do a garden party little scene. I got to do that on my first episode of Murdoch. So just things like that. Yeah. So it's like, what can I connect to in here? And then, you know, something like Kim's Convenience, which I also direct on, the family dynamic. I love those relationships and the immigrant experience as well, because you know, my parents, I can relate to that, so I really connected to that. Mm-hmm. And with Workin Moms, it was those female friendships, because I have a lot of female friends who I've known since I was 11 and 12, and they're still my best friends, and I really thought I could, you know, bring something to the show that I had experienced. Mm-hmm. And so there's always something I'm connected to.
And do you feel you do have a responsibility to be the voice of this new generation of female directors coming through?
No. I don't know. I don't know what that would mean. Like I don't.
Well, like growing up, I don't know who inspired you. Well, I mean, I know because you just told me, but like the movies that inspired you. Yeah. But none of those were like people of color or women directors like that. So like my role models were mostly men. Right. And then eventually like Catherine O'Hara and Andrew Martin. I'm like, oh, those are my role models. Yeah. So now we're like in a place now that we're actually role models. Yeah. And do you feel that?
You know, okay, I never really felt it before, and I never really considered it, or like I kind of maybe even shied away from that.
Yeah.
But I had a short film called Big Girl.
That was like a turning point.
That was
right?
definitely turning point. It was out of the film center. It was my short.
Yeah.
And
it won an award at TIFF.
Yeah, it's premiered at TIFF, and we won Best Short at TIFF.
I want to go back and talk about that because that must have blown your mind.
Yeah, and but that short, TIFF will take they took it to like inner city schools like in Toronto.
Yeah.
And I would go sometimes and do a Q&A, and I remember going to a school in Regent Park with Big Girl, and looking out over this sea of like young little faces, and they asked me questions and everything, and I remember this. It was Nelson Mandela Public School. I was leaving, and this one little girl who I swear looked like me when I was like 8, like just jumped in front of me and said, "I'm going to be director just like you." And it just, like I realized, oh my gosh, she saw me and I looked like her, and she made that connection. And it does have an effect.
Sure it does.
So that was very moving for me, and but at the same time, it's still about the work, and so putting the work.
It's just hard, right? Because it gets clouded. Like, how do you push all that stuff, like that pressure and the pressure to work and the pressure to be commercial and do your work?
Okay,
in
what way? Commercial?
Well, we've been talking about like commercial, like Murdoch Mysteries is more commercial, or like maybe you'll do a commercial sometime because that will let you do that big project.
Yeah.
So how do you put that stuff aside and keep your brain available to the creative stuff that you want to do?
Well, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Like the stuff I make I want it to always be accessible for an audience. Yes, it's artistic and creative and, references these Hungarian films or whatever, but it's always for an audience. It's always, I want to pull them in and not lose them. That's always my aim. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I love commercial movies. I love, popular stuff. Mm-hmm. I grew up on like David Fincher music videos and studied them and like recorded them and then watched them over and over. And he's one of my big influences, which you probably wouldn't think, but he's one of the big influences in my kind of craft filmmaking as well.
How so? Like, have you paid any homages to him in the work that you've done?
I think I remember, listening to interviews. He's just so prepared. He knows about every aspect of the craft, and he prepares a lot. And I prepare a lot. Like anytime I'm in prep on a movie or especially a TV show, I'm extreme. I prepare a lot, and so that you can be more open on set. You can like let it go, but I like that preparation and study and focus and I just find it important.
Like it kind of. I've been talking a lot lately with my friends about art versus the business, because I feel like the balance is really wonky. Yeah. And so speaking with you right now, it's like, it sounds so lovely to have like a director that's like, what do you think about this scene, as opposed to there's your mark.
Right.
Which is usually what you have time for. Right?
Yeah. So well, I don't know. I definitely love I love working with actors. I wouldn't say I'm like great at it. I'm always trying to be better. Mm-hmm. It's hard. It's not easy. It's like it's everyone's different. It's not that. It's every actor's different. Every actor's different process. And when you put multiple actors together, it's having. I mean, as a director, my job is to really create the best environment for an actor to do their best work. Yeah. So in order to do that, I need to understand the actor, like what they're doing, what they're thinking, and have it be open. They have to trust me. And that's hard to do.
That? Like,
on television? That's impossible because you just like show up and it's, you're our new director now. Who are you? I've done this character for like 5 years. And
having like understudy teachers. What are they called? Temporary teachers?
Yeah.
That's not the right word.
No.
Understudy. I'm so theater that I can't.
Understudy.
I've lost the word.
Substitute
teacher. Understudy. Playing the part of Mrs. Gorman will be Mr. So that is difficult. What skills have you taught yourself to get into a set quickly?
I will check in with like the actors, the leads. So like I'm on a new show now. It's all, I've never worked with any of this cast.
Can you say what it is?
It's called GINNY Georgia.
Okay.
It's a new Netflix show. It'll be on the air in 2020 or on Netflix in 2020. But it's again,
Starring my buddy Jen Robertson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I just met her this week. But whenever an actor's coming in for a fitting and I'm in prep, I'm like, I want to meet them.
Oh, that's smart.
So I go and like just hi.
That's a lovely thing.
Yeah, they're in there. I'm here prepping. Just wanted to say hi. You know, if you have any questions, I'll tell them. You know, I'll try to ask, if we have more time, I'll try to ask them how they read the episodes, what they thought, how do you like to work. This is how I kind of work. I'll always give you another one if you want to do another go. Like, just let me know. But just to make sure there's like some conversation before we're on the floor and action.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, sometimes I meet the director for the first time on set.
I know.
Like, that's nuts to me. I don't know. It's just so not what I expected in my career.
Yeah.
And it's what I'm used to now. But at the time, like now, I just crave.
And television is so fast, right? So sometimes you're like, okay, and then you do like 3 takes in a row, and it's okay. We gotta move on.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm not quite giving you what I want to give you. Yeah, you just have to. But that's trust too. Like, I do trust that the director cares to get the best take, so they're not going to move on until they get what they need. But
that's definitely with television. It was an adjustment to like not, because in film I'm always want to be, I'm working with the actors and collaborating with them.
Yeah,
and one of my shorts, like I even like made it actor driven kind of process versus.
In what way? How did that?
Because I had done a short. It was my second short where I had lovely actors, but I didn't feel connected to them.
Which one is that?
It's called Arranged.
Okay.
And they were, it was like we did the whole machine of making the movie, and then like the actors were the last people part of the puzzle.
Right.
And then we're like, you're making it, but you haven't really even like connected to them or talked to them or like. So it was just, I felt disconnected from that process. Yeah. And so the next short, I wanted to actually involve the actors. So the actors were the first person on the team. And there was a script, but I let them sort of give me their take and their input onto the script and like worked with them. I was like 2 actors each on a day separately. And then we blocked scenes on location with the DP and the camera, but didn't shoot anything for 2 days. Wow.
That's luxury though.
Yeah, it was an Arts Council funded short.
Yeah.
So that was my process. I really wanted to see how this new direct actor process would affect the final outcome. And then we shot the film. And it was which one was that one? It was called A Bicycle Lesson.
Yes.
Yeah. It was about a young woman teaches her mother how to ride a bicycle.
Yeah.
And so it was just.
Is that based on a true story?
It's based on a friend of mine was teaching her mother how to ride a bicycle, and she was telling me about it. And I was like, oh my God, that is a great idea for a short. And I don't know what the story is, but I'm gonna just like start there, and I'm gonna write me and my mom as the characters, kind of thing, just to see where it goes. So it is based on like me and my mom in some ways. Not like the elements aren't true, the story is not true, but the emotions are definitely in there. Yeah,
it's such a great image.
Yeah, I know, because it's the reversal of what happens when your parents get old and you grow up and now you take care of them, and it was like
so that was the lesson you learned in you said you learned how to like bring the actors in earlier. What was the lesson you learned in the bicycle short?
Well, I mean, like just bringing them in earlier was good. I mean, I don't know. That was maybe the most explicitly personal like film I've made so far. Is that hard? Yeah, because I wasn't sure I had distance from the actual story.
You need a little separation.
Yeah, and I to be honest, I don't know if I really nailed that movie. There's still something like I'm not sure that I really got it. Like,
and is that because you were like, I don't know, it's not the right word, but too scared to get deeper into something?
No, I don't know I don't know, or maybe I was experiencing it at the same time when I was making it, and I needed more reflection on it, and I need to go further to then pull something out of it. And maybe I was in those emotions, and so maybe I couldn't distance myself to see what the story should be. So, I mean, I don't fault myself for doing that, but
no, it's all learning.
Yeah.
But I understand. My mom has dementia, and sometimes when I'm like, write what you know, and I sit down and I'm like, it's just too. it's too close. I mean, she still is going through it, so I don't know when I'll be able to address it.
Yeah, I mean, my mom has Alzheimer's.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, she's actually late stage Alzheimer's.
So is she in a home? Is she?
No,
she's still at home.
No, I keep her in her house.
Sounds like you like.
I keep her in her house.
It does sound like you locked her
away. She lives with her sister.
Okay.
I'm there when I'm not on a TV show, but I'm there 2-3 times a week. Yeah. I go back and forth. My mom is the happiest person I know.
Was she always?
No.
I know. My mom had the same thing.
Yeah. It changes their...
Isn't it interesting?
Changes them, yeah.
I know it's not a good disease, and we talk about how sad it is, but there's some good things about it.
I agree. There is hilarity.
Yeah.
And there is tragedy.
We might need to talk about this, because I have there are some hilarious moments about it. You have to.
Yes. And it's just, when my mom got diagnosed Alzheimer's and just that whole process, our relationship totally changed.
Of course.
Because I don't know what you're saying. I totally took my mom for granted. I'd see her calling me on my cell, I'm ignore. I would, she was always there. She always was 100% for me. I just never really appreciated that, and now totally the opposite. I'm unconditional love for my mom, and she's she could not care less. She knows I think she knows who I am.
Yeah.
But she doesn't worry about me in the same way. She's not,
she's not on you.
She's not on me. Yeah. And I actually miss that. Yeah. I'd do anything to have her call me again.
Yeah.
But my mom is my mom is so cute, and she doesn't speak. She's in a wheelchair. She doesn't walk. She needs 24-hour care, but she is the happiest person I know. She's well taken care of. She was at my TIFF screening last night. Was
it a lot for her?
Yeah, I had to she lives in Richmond Hill, which is an hour out of Toronto, and I got a special car to pick them up and bring them here, and it was stressful. I was very worried, and it was a late screening. It was a 9:45 p.m. screening. She's supposed to bed at 8 o'clock, but she and my aunt, they came, and I don't know if my mom knew what was going on, but she was watching the movies, and I held her hand through the whole screening. Yeah. And
it's very emotional.
It is. Yeah. It is, and I'm so happy that they were there.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I should be one crying.
No, I'm crying too.
So. And we cry together. Yeah. I just remember bringing my mother to one of my shows, and the effort it took to
I know,
get her there, and I don't know if she got it.
I know, and it is kind of for us.
I know, but that's when I felt I
don't
know. It was for my pop as well. I knew that it meant a lot to her. But that's special that she could be there. Even for you, even if you consider it selfish, it's still you sharing her creation.
And I know my mom, she doesn't know what I do.
Right.
She doesn't she saw me when I was struggling. She was, when Big Girl did really well, she knew what that was.
Yeah.
But now she has no clue.
Yeah.
And I know she would be so proud and
to be over the moon.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to do is just to sit beside her and talk to her and try to make her laugh.
Of course.
Those are my favorite things.
Is she an easy laugh?
Yeah, I just have
What's
to
the trigger? What's the thing?
It's me teasing her, or before, this is maybe 3 or 4 years into her diagnosis of Alzheimer's. Whenever we try to make her do something she wouldn't want to do, get dressed or eat something, she'd go she'd put her hand up in the air and go like this.
Right.
I don't want to do I'm making a stance. I don't want to do this, and she goes and so sometimes I'd do that back to her, and then that makes her laugh. Yeah.
I mean, it's not the worst.
No.
It could be if she could be in pain.
Yeah.
And not looked after.
Yeah.
And you can still make her put her arms around you, and you can be there's a lot that's good. It's just it's I don't know about you, but I just miss I miss her being on me. I miss her.
I know. One of the things I did when she was more mobile and stuff, I was I wanted her to be my mom again.
Yes.
But she couldn't be that person. I would give her a hairbrush and get her to brush my hair.
Okay, enough. What are you doing to me? Oh my God, that's such a beautiful image.
Because it was and I'd brush her hair, but then she could brush my hair. That felt like a mom.
Yeah.
So, it's hard. It is really, it's really hard.
I remember one of the last things my mom, because my mom doesn't speak anymore, and but she has to be in a home because she needs that care.
Yeah.
But I remember like going to see her, and they say that like you lose a lot of the things, but you hold on to the things that were the most close to you.
Okay.
Like, so I found her, she was setting the table. Okay. So it was just something that she knew, like in her heart of hearts, like she loved a pretty set table.
Right.
So I saw her, and I just kind of jumped in. We were setting the table together, and she just looked at me and she said, "You're just working so hard." Oh, I know. But it was like, Mom, like that's your mom.
And it's those glimmers of like, thing is like when that, as you probably know, like it's like my old mom is not there anymore.
Right. It's a new mom.
It's a new mom.
I know.
And it's
I feel like the worst, like Barbara Walters, like I promised myself I wasn't going to cry, and then the interviewer cries. All right.
I make people feel something.
I know, you did it all. Wow, are we filming this?
I mean, we could talk for days about our moms and that, but like, I know there is a story in me more about
eventually.
About my mom and me, and in some, not explicitly, but in some form of a film. And, but I just find her so entertaining, and I take her to movies. I take her out, and people are like, "What?" She took it, because if you saw her condition, you'd be like, "It's a lot." It's a lot to like. You know, the mobility and then the disorienting and all
and you got to protect like the influence their senses. So, but she must have she'd be so crazy proud. Oh my gosh. So that's special that she was there. Like that's really, What about your pops? Where is he?
He died. He died about 11 and a half years ago. But he was around when like my first short did really well and stuff but he also the story with my dad is that he would have been really proud. I remember when I first watched my episode of Murdoch on television, and I saw my name directed by Renuka Jeyapalan, and Jeyapalan is my dad's name. And it just like hit me, because it's weird. It was weird to see your name, like that kind of name, even like to me, like on television, it's a strange name. And you don't see that kind of name, but then to see my dad's name there, it felt, I felt like connected to him, and I wish he had seen this. And I was like, I gotta keep, it's a hard name to pronounce, and everyone always gets it wrong. And even the screening last night, they did Renuka Jeyapalan.
Jeyapalan. Like, completely
no, it's
ridiculous.
Just foreign. It's just
it's like if a guy went
Hey Jay, I don't know.
Which like an Apollon? No, I think you should Apollonize to me. I don't know. I mean, Sneakers is no cakewalk, but I get it. And so so, and I'm an only child, so it's so where do you get your family now?
My friends. But that's why I kind of like with my mom and my aunt I call them like my VIP guests, like last night, they're my VIP guests. But I guess my friends and
your aunt is still present for you?
Yeah. She's my aunt is like Mother Teresa. I've never seen her angry in her entire life.
Right.
She's just the most giving person. And she reads my scripts, like she wants to read them. She's an avid, voracious reader. For Christmas, I buy her the biggest, thickest War and Peace here. And she'll read them all. And so she reads my scripts sometimes, and I'm just proud and whatever.
Do you feel like there's a story that you keep telling in all your films?
Yes.
What is it?
Someone who's closed who learns to be open.
And do you think that's like that beautiful conflict of science and art in your brain?
I don't know.
It's you. It has to be your
it's
story.
Me in some ways, but I mean, it definitely is a recurring theme, and I definitely seem to like, even when I have a TV show and I'm reading the script, those scenes that are about that people connecting, people connecting or disconnected people or connecting, like those kind of dynamics. I really gravitate towards.
Even in this short film, the oh my gosh, with Jane Eastwood that you just
life support.
I mean, that connection is stunning. It's stunning. It happens in like 7 minutes, and it's a beautiful connection. Yeah. Do you feel like you'll ever not tell that story? Like, do you feel like...
Oh, I would love to not tell that story.
And done. Yeah. I understand myself.
But I'm not doing it consciously.
Right.
It's like subconsciously, you know?
Then you look at your script.
I'm like, yeah. And I remember when I made Big Girl, I wrote it, directed it, we're shooting it. Halfway through the shoot, I was like, wait a second, this is about me. And I did not
You didn't even
see it. Yeah.
Now, does that, like, do you want to turn away from that, or you're like, okay, great, let's dive deeper? Because that's a hard emotional journey to go through when you realize it's you, because it's personal.
Yeah.
You're about to expose yourself.
Yeah. But I think that's the like cost, or I don't know, that's what you need to do to have it connect with someone. If it's, I mean, it might be the same themes, but in different genres. Right. You know, that's kind of cool. I love to do different genres, different types of stuff, not always like family or relationship or like, you know, I do like straddling comedy and drama, like that tonal shift, those micro shifts that can happen, you know, always sort of grounded, but still that's interesting. I want to explore more different shifts in tone. Yeah. But it doesn't feel like you'll ever, well, I mean, who knows, but like it doesn't feel like you're getting pigeonholed anywhere. No, because I think it's this thing I try, like I want to make an audience feel something. Right. So whether that's in the genre of a horror film or, you know, a drama or whatever. Yeah. I can always, there's that feeling. Right. I mean, it feels like you're doing a bit more than that though, because like every movie makes you feel something, whether it's not always, but yeah. I mean, like not necessarily you, but like somebody. Like every movie is put out there to feel like that's their job. So whether it's like anger because the movie's so bad, but like I feel like it's like going deeper than that. Yeah, maybe when I say feel, I have a friend, and she asks me for movie recommendations. And I'm like, okay, what kind of? Like, I'm very good at movie recommendations. Good. She's like, what kind? I'm like, what kind of movie? And I remember one time she's like, I want a movie that's gonna make me feel. It's gonna make me cry. Right. So it's the crying. Maybe that's what I mean by feel, but not necessarily crying, but like a deep emotion that could be cathartic. Have gone through. Like but who knows what that is? Like somebody could watch a zombie movie and go, that's true. The zombies got together. That's true. You don't know. Like I don't know. And that's why I think it's like I always try to make something personal, because I feel like if it's personal, it's going to connect with someone. Right. But I can't guess what's going to connect with someone. Well, that's why, like, you know, based on what we were talking before about like social media, like I do feel like your story, even as a person, it's going to influence people. Whether it's that little girl that looks like you, or whether it's through your movies, it's still your power of storytelling, right? Yeah. And it could be the storytelling of you. So. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know either. I don't have any answers. Who's kidding who? Yeah, I had a question that it left. Do very well with time. Just edit this part out. Do you feel like there's like a big dream in the future that you'd like to tackle? Definitely like feature films. Yeah, I always like a big one. Oh yeah, I'd love to do a big Hollywood studio film. Period piece. Definitely. Yeah. Set in Italy, of course. Right. You know, yeah. They say that's the way to get movies made, right? Is to like say co-production. Opens up in Italy. Yeah, yes. But I want to make stuff that people are going to see, and that's kind of like, never thought that about television. Like that's the beauty of television. You make something, you direct it, and it's on the air like a few months later, and people see it. Whereas film, not necessarily like that. And is that changing now with digital media? I suppose so. I'm not the most digitally savvy, like social media person to navigate that aspect, but I don't know. I love the movie going experience. Like, you know, I love it. The communal experience of that, and like feeling the theater and all of that. So. Having the person kick you. Yeah, I love it so much. Yeah, and then I mean, it feels like your career, like from biochemistry to CFC, like you've been just like. Go. It doesn't feel like there's been a time where you're like uncertain about your path. Well, I wasn't. We skipped a few years there. Right, because CFC was like 2005? 2004, 2005, yeah. And then Big Girl? Big Girl was 2005. And so you come out of that, you're like, oh, I just
I did my first short film in the TIFF festival, and I won an award. This is going to be easy.
Yeah. Well, that happened. I mean, we got into TIFF and we were super ecstatic. 100%. We did not know there was an award.
Oh, right.
Did not know there was an award. Never even crossed our mind, like my producer, like at least my mind never crossed our mind. And then the night before the awards, we get a call from the programmer saying, "You should be at the awards tomorrow." So that was like huge, like icing on the cake. Yeah. And that was so great. And that short still opens doors for me, still gets me jobs.
Wow.
It's totally changed my life. I'm still so proud of it. And, I went out, left the CFC, and I was like, made this amazing short that I'm so proud of. I'm not going to work in the industry as anything but a writer or a director. Right. I was a snob. Like, I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to write my feature and whatever. But I wanted to move out of my parents' house. And so I got a job as a temp. And I was placed on a trading floor on Bay Street at an investment bank. And I was the assistant for 15 guys on a trading floor.
And that's where your CBC
and I was just supposed to do that for 6 months. And I did it for 6 years because it was...
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Because why? Because it was good money?
No, it was okay. Yeah, it was fine. It was fun. It was like I'd never worked with so many men before. It was a totally different world. It was like a lot of money. And it was an investment bank. All these guys from CIBC broke off and started their own company. So they had invested their own money. Everything was on the line. It was like high stakes.
So stressful.
Stressful and multitasking. But I worked with like these guys who were, highly functional, super smart, super sometimes inappropriate, like the whole cliche of what you think. But out of anyone I've ever worked with, even since, those guys empowered me the most as a woman. Which is so ironic. Yeah. They just whenever I was introduced to people or, clients where they said, "This is Renuka, she works with us," or "We work for her, she runs our office." Mm-hmm. They just depended on me. They respected me. I don't know. They just believed in me. They all came to Big Girl screened at TIFF, and they all came to the party. Wow. They were just huge fans, and they still are big supporters. One of them was at my screening last night with his wife. Wow. So
probably gave you some good grounding for dealing with the men in the industry too.
I've dealt with the alpha male. Yeah. So but it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. It was a crazy world.
Yeah. So then leaving that, you kept making film now, with TV and stuff.
So leaving that, I left. That was one of the hardest things, was to quit that job because our company merged with another company and the work culture totally changed. I was now working 14-hour days. This is my day job. It's not my... And so I quit. And then I had to, had no income. I was like, I'm just going to, work on being a filmmaker. Yeah. Moved back with my mom in Richmond Hill. I had no expenses. It was really hard. And for 5 years struggled. Right. Made zero figures. Wow.
That's the part we don't see, right? You look at your resume and we're oh, she's working all the time.
Yeah. And my friends are getting married, buying, houses and going on trips. And I was living in my old bedroom with my mom in Richmond Hill, driving her car and couldn't go out really because I was lived so far. And it was hard.
Yeah, that sounds really tough.
It was hard.
And then how did you get out of that? Spiritually too. How did you lift yourself out of that?
I think it was just keeping on. Sometimes I had those dark in the night. What am I doing?
Yes.
Is this right?
Still have them. Just
yes,
so you know.
Yes. Is this? What am I doing here? Is this? And I remember, it started to. That's when I couldn't get my features made, and then I explored television. Had a little bit of success. I remember shadowing on Murdoch. And it was the 2 weeks into it, I was just that night, I was what am I doing shadowing? I don't know. Is this what I want to do? I just had a really dark night. And the next day, I got offered an episode. Wow. So it was weird how that works or whatever, but it's just...
Was that when you were maybe I need to go back?
Yeah. You're beyond the point of no return by then. I couldn't change careers or do anything, but it was just I think you just have to someone told me that this industry is like such high highs, but also low lows, and you just have to like travel through them.
Yeah,
because you go
just trust that it'll come around, but it's hard
because you also don't know. Like the next day, you might get an offer or a gig, or you just don't know what's going to happen, and you just can't. Like you said, you're number one. Can't quit. Can't. You just keep going.
Just go to bed early on the bad days, so the day's done.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know it's hard to like. Where do you find yourself? Like, how do you get the self-belief in the thing motor that keeps going?
I don't know. My friend was like saying how like she was reading a book about like resilience and bouncing back. Yeah. And she was like, I think she's like, you're very resilient.
Yeah, that's a great.
Which I never thought of myself. I never like thought of that, but I think it's just going through it. Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea where it comes from.
Well, is it like, do you have like a big, like the bigger goal? I know you're talking about like Hollywood features, but do you have the thing that's like your drive? Like, I don't know, like in my role in comedy, there's nothing better than bringing people together for a laugh. Like there's nothing better than that kind of communal hangout. So that's like a drive for me. Yeah. Whether it's like doing a podcast and somebody listens to that and said, oh, that was really fun, or I really enjoyed the discussion. Yeah. But
I don't know. I think it's what when I was watching E.T. and like I connected to what was on screen and it moved me and it helped me. Yeah. That, we had the premiere of Life Support last night, and like a couple of people came up to me afterwards and were like, "Oh, I found your film very moving. It really touched me." And that's really important, and that's really like if you say something, you put something out there, and so it connects to someone. That's the best thing.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't make anything better. I usually wrap up by talking about things that you're inspired by lately. Like, is there a book you're reading, or a podcast you're listening to, or music, or art, or something that you recognize?
Hard question. What am I inspired by lately? Oh, I watch a lot of television.
Yeah, what are you watching?
Fleabag.
Okay, don't even start.
Yeah,
where do you even? It's
like the best of the best. I saw a British show called Years and Years. Oh, it's HBO and I think ITV or a British network, and it's about a family set in like the near future, like 5 years from now. Yeah. As in a world where a politician, like a Trump-like politician, just keeps getting in power and what could happen, how the world could spiral. I don't know if I want to watch it, but it's brilliantly done. Yeah. It's under it's about a family, so that's the kind of focus and how these issues kind of go. That was really good, but.
Have you seen all the BBC shows like Scott and Bailey, Broadchurch, and all those? Yeah,
those are great. I saw a movie actually on Thursday night at TIFF called Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which
again, just go to bed. I don't even know. I watched the second season of Fleabag, and I was like, oh my god, I don't even know. It was just I don't know. I'm so in admiration of that brain and I know the it's comedy genius.
And the comedy, the laugh, followed right by the gut punch.
No, she does it so.
Or vice versa. Yeah, the gut punch and then the laugh right there.
It's my favorite thing in the world. As a comedian / actor, I love the ability of playing that line. Yeah, and she's genius at it.
Yeah, like Life Support, we were trying to do those sort of
well, you've got Jane Eastwood.
Yes, but she's not the funny person.
She's not, but she can't help but resonate I don't know, it's like a spark of comedy. Yeah. Even in she's bald. She's such a beautiful actress. People don't even know half of what she can do.
Yes. And I think that's why I was so interested in working with her in this film, because we see Jane as the comedian, as out there and extroverted, and here was someone in a lot of pain and internal and having it to gush out. So there's I felt like it was so lovely.
I love that you gave us a chance to see her like that, because we just don't get to see that.
Yeah, I'd love to work with her again.
I know. Yeah. Anyway, I can't wait to see what you do next, and I'm thrilled
this is so great.
Thrilled to have your heart in this community. That's what I think.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's really special to have people like you create.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Great.
smart and sweet. She's just a lovely person and just so authentic. I'm just honored. I'm honored to have these kind of discussions with people when they just take their shoes off and they're just real. Don't forget to follow her on social media at RJEYAPALAN. And let us know while you're over there. Follow us, why don't you? Let us know what you thought. Firecracker DEPT. Have you heard of Share Her Journey? If you have, I'd love to know your thoughts on that. And if you haven't, go on over and follow them as well. Find out what they're doing in this time of quarantineness, because I know Share Her Journey is stepping up. I remember Sandra Oh saying to me once in a panel discussion that whatever power you have, make sure you're using it to find equality. And I think that's such a message that I hold in my heart. And I think that's something that Share Her Journey also believes in. You could say Renuka's directing on season 4 of Kim's Convenience, which is airing right now. And she's also directing the upcoming GINNY Georgia TV series, which features another firecracker, Schitt's Creek Jennifer Robertson. And maybe you can have a listen to that. Let me know what you thought of Jennifer's episode, which I absolutely loved as well. And if you feel like it, just binge us Netflix style, just start in the morning and just plow through all episodes, one after another. Just get real immersed with some amazing thoughts and ideas and advice from amazing kick-ass women. We'll have all the links to her social media and some of her current work in our show notes. So check her out and send some direct firecracker love her way. Renuka Jeyapalan, she's just a treat. I'm just such a fan of hers, and I bet you're a fan too now that you've had an hour with her. Hey, put it in your books. The upcoming Spark Chat live on Instagram is the first Sunday of every month. Oh my gosh, Cam and Manheim. Before that was Astrid Van Weeren, Kat Barrel. And this month coming up, the one and only Sarah McVie from Workin Moms and The Handmaid's Tale will be my guest. So I can't wait to chat with her and catch up with her life and then take questions from you as well. So you can find all the details for that on our Instagram page at Firecracker DEPT. Thank you so much to my big firecracker team. Oh my gosh, I couldn't do any of this without them. Here's the team that are in LA. It's AJ Edmonds, Farah Marani, Emily Churchill, Monique Madrid, Camille Adams, Jordan Giddens, Deanna Moffat. And then in Toronto, there's a whole other chapter. And those are Joanne Boland, Anna Gustafson, Veronica Martin, Sydney Nielsen, Laura Lee Dalmaccio, Winnie Wong, Naomi Wright, Chelsea McKenzie, and Sarah Bowden. And don't forget about our UK chapter. We've got Vicky Breer over in England, and she is staying up late because of the time zones and helping us build our community. So thank you. And we're just getting started. There are people joining us all the time, and we're lucky and we are better off for it. So thank you. Maybe some of you are thinking, hey, I'd like to get involved. I really would love that. So why don't you go on over to our website, see what we're doing, and see what part kind of jazzes you. It could be something in the comedy department, the art department, the script department, the Red Point department, where we celebrate aging in the arts. Just go on over to firecrackerdepartment.com and check us out. And then drop me a line at firecrackerdepartment@gmail.com and let's chat. And while you're online, because who's kidding who, we're online all the time, why don't you go over and give us a little rating and review? Because it really helps us keep bringing these podcasts to you and keeps building our community. It really does. We know that you have 2 ears and there's a lot of things you could be listening to, so we really appreciate that you're choosing Firecracker Department. And we just got one better because you're here. See you next time on the Firecracker Department, everybody.